Bella Salon and Day Spa, located at 41 West Main Street in Northeast Pennsylvania, proudly supports Chautauqua Sunrise and its volunteers. More information at bellasalonanddayspa.net. Westfield Memorial Hospital provides high-quality health care to residents of Western New York, offering patients the most sophisticated medical advancements while keeping the ease and familiarity of a community hospital. Support for Chautauqua Sunrise has been provided by WRFA 107.9 FM, Jamestown's public radio station, streaming online 24/7 at WRFALP.com. Low power to the people. Funding is provided by a grant from New York State Senator Catherine M. Young, representing Western New York's 57th District with a local office in Olean. Chautauqua Sunrise is made possible by a grant from Fredonia Place, a continuing care retirement community providing dignity in a modern luxury environment. Meter's Restaurant, a family tradition for over 50 years in downtown Ripley, is a proud supporter of Chautauqua Sunrise. Meter's provides all-day dining, banquet services, and custom catering, specializing in pie. From the Access Chautauqua Studios in Mayville, it's Chautauqua Sunrise. Chautauqua Sunrise is hosted by Doc Hamels and supported by the award-winning volunteers at Access Chautauqua. We are here to share local news, colorful interviews, and events of interest to everyone. Chautauqua Sunrise is broadcast live Saturday mornings each week from 9 to 10 a.m. Send events via email or call us live. Check us out on YouTube and Facebook. And now, from the Access Chautauqua Studios, it's Chautauqua Sunrise.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm Doc Hamels, and welcome to Chautauqua Sunrise. Okay, I got to tell you right up front, to everybody that's watching me right now, is that this is a pre-taped show, so there will be no call-in opportunity that sometimes you guys use here at the station. So we're not going to talk about calling in. But I do want to say good afternoon to our friends at WRFA 107.9, low power to the people in Jamestown, who are joining us Tuesdays at 1 o'clock. We're so glad you could join us as well. I've got a very, very interesting show in store for you today, and a great story of, well, I don't want to give it away. You got to stick with me and listen to this, because it's going to be a good show, as always, I hope. So in the future, though, if you do want to call in or have a question, you can always go to our Facebook page, or you can email us with a question or a comment, and we're happy to hear from you. And even though somebody may not be here, you can always leave a message at 753-5225. Okay? And as I always tell people, if you can't see the show at home, you can look at it on YouTube, because we got 229 shows. Today's 230 shows. Will be on YouTube forever and ever until YouTube disappears or they come up with something new. Okay? Well, since I'm talking into the future, I want to tell you that I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving, and that you didn't overeat like most of us do, and that you had a great time with your family and friends, and that it was a special time for you. All right? It's also hunting season right now, and I mentioned last week that we got to be careful when we're traveling about, even walking in your fields near your homes and so forth. Hunters are out, and they try to be safe, but every once in a while something might go a little off, and please just be careful out there and be aware of the hunters. Well, the weather, as far as I know, in the future here, I'm talking a week ahead of time, looks like this week is going to be pretty nice, and the weekend. So I hope you had safe travels, and over Thanksgiving weekend, of course, people are coming and going and visiting, and this is the busiest weekend of the year, from what I'm told, for traveling, so be careful out there. All right, I have a few announcements to share with you. and then we're going to get to my guest. So this is a pretty long one, but I'll give it my best shot. Today is a Saturday, November 24th, and it's Small Business Saturday. So let me read a little bit about this for you. This is from my good friends at the Chautauqua County Chamber of Commerce. It says here, shopping locally is good for our economy and very directly helps to support your friends, neighbors, and community. Time after time, studies have shown that it does make a difference when people choose to buy from locally owned stores and businesses. A 2010 study by the Michigan State University Center for Community and Economic Development shows that for every $100 in consumer spending, so I spend $100, with a locally owned business, 73 of those dollars stays right here in our community, in our area. And it's dispersed through local wages, charitable donations, taxes that fund local services and purchases that they need through goods and services to run their businesses. The Michigan State study also shows that for each $100 spent with a non-local owned business, only $43 remains in the local economy. So it really pays to support our local shop owners and businesses. All right. And once again, they want you to know the Chautauqua County Chamber of Commerce has signed on as a neighborhood champion for Small Business Saturday. That's today. That means we are helping to promote the Shop Small movement in our communities, and they hope that you'll take time throughout the season to check out locally owned businesses, and that you're going to find that special and unique item that are personal and meaningful to your family and friends. Now, I'm not going to go through all the folks that are involved this year because there's just hundreds of them, but it's all over the place. And we all know those small mom and pop shops that are in our communities, whether they're, well, I won't mention any in particular, but just all the mom and pop shops, the small businesses and that. It's easy to want to go to the big box stores, as they call them, or to the larger mall areas and things like that, and I have nothing against the malls, but let's not forget the folks that are trying to make a living right here in our own communities. And as I said, 73 out of $100 stays right here. Okay, let's keep on moving, and I have some other things I want to share with you. Let's see, December 1, Home for the Holidays Palette Painting with Rena. Okay, this is going to be held at the Grape Discovery Center from 2 to 4:30 p.m. Cost is only $25, and Rena will paint Home for the Holidays on a 14 by 16 inch wood palette. And I believe this is where everybody does one and has a good time. And wines and snacks are available for purchase during the event. For more information, give them a call at the Grape Discovery Center at 326-2003. And that's this Saturday, December 1. Okay, this next one is kind of fun to announce. Okay, the first showing of this is going to be today. All right, November 24. Gobble Gobble Death and Trouble. The Ripley Library Players presents this show, and the question that they're asking is, who would have done away with the Wizard of White Meat at Thanksgiving? Sounds like a murder mystery to me. The first showing would be today, November 24 at 6 p.m. at Quincy Cellars at 10606 West Main Street in Ripley as you're going out of town. Second showing will be Saturday, December 1, 6 p.m. at Noble Winery at 8630 Hardscrabble Road, in Westfield. Tickets are $22 at pre-sale, $25 at the door. You can go to a Ripley Library or a Noble Winery for tickets. And if you have more information, give the library a call at 736-3913. And remember, this is benefiting the Ripley Library Building Fund. They need to raise $75,000 as their share of the renovations that's going to go on at the library. It's going to be fantastic when it's done. Okay, let's keep on moving. Let's go to Westfield for their annual soup dinner. All right, the Westfield Community Kitchen is holding their annual soup dinner on December 3rd from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. The Methodist Church Fellowship Hall will be the location at 101 East Main Street. Adults are $8, children are Children 5 and under are $3, and a whole family is only $20. Now, they tell me that this is a really unique event because the soups are made by the local residents, and the Westfield restaurants contribute to the annual soup dinner, and they tell me the soups are phenomenal, and really can't miss that event. So it sounds like a great night, especially with the cold weather. What a nice thing to do. All right. Slide 22, the Armistice Project. The Patterson Library presents the Armistice Project with Kevin Dunn and friends, including Charles Ferraro, Nathan Smith, about the archival William Sherman soldier portraits. The Patterson Library's World War I posters in the Octagon Gallery, November 16th through the 7th. So it's already been going on for a week or so, but it's going to wrap up December 7th if you haven't gotten there yet. The opening, I already got that. The event is free and open to the public. Kevin Dunn and Friends and Charles Ferraro will be featuring a 1/9 scale of busts, dioramas depicting and recreating history to the viewing public. Shadow box art, dioramas, archive photos, letters from soldiers, and memorabilia will engage every reader who loves history. This exhibit will bring into focus a period of our nation's history for which a large majority of us have no experience. The show will feature our WW1 poster collection, uniforms, Westfield Republican clippings, letters from soldiers, collectively with the miniature art of regional and international artists who will take you back to a time when patriotism of the nation was never a question. The Patterson Library will show 4 World War I films in the Octagon Gallery. Well, that one's already done. Let's see here. Hang on a second. On the 29th of November, My Boy Jack. December 4, All Quiet on the Western Front. And December 7th, Joyex Noel. All films from the World War II era. They start at 6 p.m. It's free and open to the public. Patterson Library will provide refreshments, but feel free to bring in an evening snack. For questions, give Nancy Ensign a call at 326-2154. All right, and let's see here. And then finally, what I want to talk to you about goes right along with shopping locally. And the Chamber of Commerce reminds us that this time of year, you can purchase, now I'm going to say it real slow, a Chautauqua, so it's Chautauqua gift card. Okay. As the holiday season approaches and you begin to consider gifts or bonuses for your employees or coworkers, they strongly encourage you to consider their Chautauqua gift card. One of the key points in their 5 points focus is to help members increase sales. They do this in many ways through marketing and advertising opportunities, fostering business-to-business connections, and through the gift check program, which has resulted in a $3 million economic impact in our county. Excuse me. Chautauqua gift cards can be used at more than, listen to this, 125 local merchants, restaurants, and businesses right here in Chautauqua County. That's got to be just about everybody. And the list is growing daily. They are available in any amount up to $500 per card, and we can configure orders to suit your needs. You can find a complete list of participating businesses on our website at chautauquachamber, all one word, .org. When we support local businesses, we're supporting our neighbors, our friends, and our community. Giving Chautauqua gift cards is a great way to give a gift that gives back to our local community. For more information, give Becky a call at the Chamber at 366-6200 or 484-1101. Okay, we're going to take a little break, and we're going to be right back, so stay tuned.
Eva Marie smoked 12,000 packs of cigarettes over 15 years. She quit, and now there's a new lung cancer screening that could save her life. You stopped smoking. Now start screening. No matter how much you smoked, early detection could save you. Talk to your doctor or learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Okay, welcome back to Chautauqua Sunrise. I'm Doc Hamels, and it's my pleasure to welcome to the show today Dr. Angie Janosky, who's associated with all kinds of organizations, but specifically Linked by Pink. Good morning and welcome. Angie, I talked with you at our Rotary Club meeting. Gosh, I don't even remember. It's been a while.
Oh, it's been a couple of months now.
Couple months.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes if I'm reading the newspaper, if I read a story or I see something, I call that person and I ask them to come on my show. I heard you talking to our organization, and I have to tell you, I was really taken by your story, really. And I don't tell that to everybody, but I sat there and said, I've got to have Angie on my show, because the things you were talking about, I was just sitting going like, wow, this person has lived like 4 lifetimes in one. That's how I felt when I was done. I was actually tired after listening to you, and I'm a pretty busy guy. So you said to me, what are we going to talk about today? And I said, well, we'll talk about Link by Pink, but you have such a varied background, so let's just skim a little bit about your background and where you were raised and things like that, and then we'll fill the rest of the story in as we go. How's that sound?
That sounds good. I know, I did ask, I'm like, well, okay, where do you want me to start? Okay, let me see. So I grew up in Cambridge Springs.
Okay, that's in Pennsylvania.
It is.
That's a very pretty area down there.
It is beautiful. So I grew up there and graduated high school from Cambridge, and then I ended up going to college in Edinburgh.
Okay.
I did take a little bit of time off. I was a single mom for a little bit, and I was like, wow, I need to do something a little bit more with myself, and wanted to be a kind of a role model for my children. And I was like, education and knowledge is a big part of what I wanted to do for my kids. So I was like, oh, I got to go back to school. And so I went back as a non-traditional student. I was 27, I believe, at the time. And I got to seeing the ROTC individuals around campus and military.
You're 27 years old, and you're looking at ROTC?
I did. I certainly did.
Okay.
My father and my grandfather were military also.
Okay.
So it's in my history, it's in my past, and it's in my family.
Oh yeah, I'm saying my family, sure.
So I got to see them, playing around a little bit on campus, and I'm like, well, I want to do that. And at the time, I was starting to go through a divorce, and I'm like, wow, what else can I cram into my schedule at the same time? And, as a mom of 3 children, and I ended up joining ROTC, and I'm trying to think of how I want to fast forward all this. There is so much to talk about.
Take your time, there's no hurry.
So I joined, and I ended up commissioning and graduated at Edinburgh, and I got my, oh my goodness, I'm just thinking there's so many memories here. So as I did it all in 4 years also. So, that's a pretty difficult feat to do anymore.
Especially as a single mom.
Single mom, 2 jobs.
And going to college.
Going to college.
ROTC.
4 years. So I'm trying to set the tone here that I'm a little bit of a go-getter and a little headstrong.
Okay.
And I might sound a little bit, kind of calm and casual, but there's a time and a place. Don't be fooled by that. Don't be fooled. And I tell people all the time, don't let the smile fool you, because there's a fire in there.
Okay.
And so yeah, graduated, and
you said you were commissioned. I don't know what that means.
Commissioned. So that's how I entered the military. Was by commissioning.
Okay.
So
you were an officer?
I was an officer.
Oh.
So there's different, like a rank structure. So there are enlisted, there are warrant officers, which is a commissioning also.
I'm familiar with that.
And then there are officers. So I was commissioned in as an officer.
And so what rank?
I went in as a lieutenant.
Okay.
And I left about 11 years later as a captain. Not by my own will. I got pretty sick, and that comes into my story a little bit later too. So I went in as a signal and a communications officer.
Okay.
My degree from Edinburgh was criminal justice with a minor in psychology.
Okay.
So completely different career paths here.
All right.
I had in my mind I was going in for law enforcement of some type. Military places you at their own needs and where they want you to go. So I did my officer basic course down in Fort Gordon, Georgia. And I had also joined the National Guard when I was in college.
National Guard and ROTC. I didn't even know you could do both.
Oh yes. Oh, yes. So I was enlisted before,
Mm-hmm.
and then got my commissioning as an officer.
All righty.
So I know I jumped around a little bit right there, but
I see that.
so, oh my goodness. So then,
So were you overseas?
eventually I was.
Mm-hmm.
I did go to Mosul, Iraq, one tour.
Okay.
So
And this was Army?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
I don't think we established that. Okay.
No, I don't think. Yeah, I didn't mention that.
You might have served with my son. My son was is a chief warrant officer for it. He just retired. He was in
Oh.
Iraq and Afghanistan, all over the place. So who knows?
No, I was over there in 2006.
He was all over there.
So, yeah, probably. You never
Yeah.
know. So I went down to Fort Gordon, Georgia for my officer basic course, and then I was shipped over to Fort Lewis, Washington,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where I served the majority of my time. And I was out there for about 8 years.
Wow.
And beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
And you get to put in like on your wish list where you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked it because it was green.
Oh yeah, it's always
Which is a
beautiful
running,
up there.
It's a running joke in the family. My kids are like, "Mom, you picked here because it was green."
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Mom. Right. So, so my kids loved it out there. They had a wonderful school system, and we got to do and see actually quite a bit. And part of the reason why I joined the military so late, I said that education is huge for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's a gift for my kids,
Yeah.
and I instill that in them all the time. Also, I wanted to show my kids the world. I didn't want them to just read about it in a book or
Good for you.
learn from the television or something. I
Mhm.
wanted to literally show them the world through experience. There's a huge wealth of culture and education out on the West Coast, even just by traveling
Mhm.
military. And I was able to give that to them. So through the course of my military career, I started to notice that there were some things going on with myself also, health-wise.
Oh.
So I started gaining some weight with as physical as we were, and through training, I knew that something wasn't quite right.
So this was, you were putting on weight fast that you don't normally do?
I gained 40 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
40 pounds in about 3 months, and it was right
Oh, I
after.
guess so.
It was right after my deployment. I
Mhm.
came back from Iraq, and it's a big change.
Yeah, but 40 pounds in 3 months.
Oh,
Ooh.
absolutely, it was. And I loved my job. I loved my job. I loved the people I worked with,
Mhm.
and started trying to go to the doctor. And I had a specific supervisor that told me that officers don't get sick. She kind of lacked that human feel. And so I started.
This sounded more than just a cold. This sounds more serious. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. So I started trying to go, when I could on, lunch or, during off hours. And then I had my doctor tell me that I was too young to be worried about anything seriously being wrong, and that it was normal for a woman to feel belly pain. 2 comments that I will always remember verbatim, word
It's
for word,
normal to feel belly pain
as a woman.
as a woman. All right, because of your cycle and things like this?
Correct.
All right, but that still didn't talk about 40 pounds.
No.
Okay, so sounds like we're really just skirting the whole issue here.
Oh, absolutely. So just paying attention to myself, and I knew that something was wrong.
Mhm.
Getting sick at the sight of food,
Oh,
just getting tired all the time, and then I started to doubt myself. I started to not trust my own gut feeling. I'm like, oh, maybe it's because of all the hours I'm working. I'm working 14 to 16 hours a day. Pretty stressful job. We're training for deployments. I'm responsible for other people's lives.
yeah.
Lots of things going on. And then I made the decision that I was going to get out of the military. And 2 weeks before I had my resignation, because you have to submit a resignation
Yes,
to that
my
exit.
son's going through all that right
So,
now.
2 weeks before that paperwork went through, had some testing done, and within 5 minutes of a colonoscopy, I was 35 years old at the time. 5 minutes into the colonoscopy, they pulled my then fiance into a room and said that he needed to be there because they were pulling me out and they needed to talk to us. I found out at 35 I had stage 3 colon cancer.
Oh my gosh.
No family history. And the first words that popped out of my mouth were, "But I'm not done yet."
Mm-hmm.
It's the only thought that I had. And then the second thought that I had was, "But I want to see grandkids."
Mm-hmm.
And at 35, those aren't thoughts that anybody should be thinking.
No, not at all.
I had just moved to a new unit and was loving my position. I was a staff officer for a brigade, so I had about 1,500 individuals and computer systems that I was responsible for.
You have 1,500 people under you?
Well, yeah, basically.
Whoa.
They're computer systems.
Wow. All interconnected somehow.
Interconnect. Oh, it was fantastic to work
Mhm.
with that type of a network.
Yeah.
It was amazing, and I was loving that opportunity, and just everything that it entailed.
So this comes along.
And then this came along. I mean, the whole floor just dropped out from underneath me.
Mm.
My life, everything was just gone. And I was just sitting there like, what do I do? And so my new supervisor was fantastic about it. So when I say that I left the military kicking and screaming, I pretty much left kicking and screaming, but they took care of me.
Okay.
He pulled me in and he was like, "Angie, your job is to now take care of yourself."
Mm.
And they were just understanding about the whole thing. So for the next 2 years, my job was taking care of myself. So back and forth to appointments. And I also remember thinking, as I'm starting to go through CAT scans or CT scans and PET scans and all of the lab work and learning, basically it was on-the-job training. I was not medical by any means.
Right.
And
pretty foreign to you.
Very, very foreign. So I start going through everything for the colon cancer. I ended up with 1.5 feet of my colon removed.
Okay.
Refused to get a colonoscopy bag. And if I get too into detail with anything, please let me know, because it's very...
We talk about everything here.
Okay, good. Because it leads into where I'm at now. I was like, tell me no. I accept the challenge, and I'll show you why yes for me. I don't accept no. Don't tell me I can't do something. I'll show you exactly the opposite
You'll
of
find
why
a way, yeah.
something else is going to work. And that's how I found my voice and self-advocacy. I was starting to fall through the cracks medically. I had a resident one time tell me that I was hyper vigilant in my health care. I was like...
Sort of like overkill, they were thinking.
They were thinking overkill.
Yeah. But who else is watching over you?
Correct. I developed a blood clot in my neck from a port that was placed.
Okay.
And I was like, something's not right with my neck. And then finally they're like, oh, we're sorry. We should have listened to you. So, and this kind of became a theme a little bit. I'm like, just listen. I'm telling you how I feel. Listen. So I've become very empowered by the journey that I've had. So then shortly, about 10 months later, after I'm diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer, I go through the chemo, the surgery, radiation.
Oh boy, everything.
Everything. I had gone to go visit a family member who was terminally ill, and my sister calls me and she goes, Angie, well, you knew that our great aunt had breast cancer, right? And I was like, why didn't anybody tell me this before? And just as I'm getting ready to go into an appointment about a week later to see my oncologist, and I was like, maybe I should mention this. And I'm getting my results from a CT scan I just had, and when he goes, well, there's this little bump under your arm.
Oh, no.
We're not going to be worried about it. I was like, well, wait a minute. after everything I've been having,
Yeah.
why don't we get it checked out? And sure enough, stage 2 breast cancer,
You're kidding.
stage 1 cervical cancer, diagnosed at the same time.
Cervical cancer.
Yes.
We're on 3 cancers now?
3 cancers,
Oh
all
my gosh.
primaries. And I've already gone through genetic testing, and everything has come back clean to where nothing is genetically linked.
All right.
3 primaries. And I'm just like, but I've done everything right. I have been doing everything.
You must have felt like Job in the Bible. Like, what's going on
What's going on? What's my lesson here?
Yeah.
And after the first cancer, especially the stage 3 at 35, I'm like, okay, I did something wrong. And you start, as an individual, you start going, okay, what did I do wrong? But I'm going to do everything right now. I don't know what it was, and you start to try to look for that answer, but you can't beat yourself up to it with that too much, which is a big lesson that I've learned. And so now I get hit with this double whammy. It's
Oh my
like,
gosh.
okay.
It would knock down the strongest of the strong, wouldn't it?
So
But here you are.
here I am struggling. Well, thank you. And then at the same time, my daughter is a senior in high school, going off to college. My oldest son had just graduated high school the year before as I was diagnosed with colon cancer. And my youngest son is going into high school.
Okay.
And I have to call my daughter at college and tell her I've just been diagnosed with breast cancer.
For her own good, too.
For her own good, too.
Yeah.
And she's 13 hours away in Montana.
Oh, boy.
One of the most difficult things I'd ever had to do was not just process what I was going through, but try to be there for her and for my children also. It was very hard. Still to this day, I'll think about it a little bit. I have to think about it in pieces. So here I'm like, okay, here we go again. And through all of this, I had developed this, I guess it was a coping mechanism. I called it a giggle point. And I kind of coined the phrase. I had to find a small little piece of humor every day. And America's Funniest Home Videos was a saving grace for me. I think I kind of wore the show out a little bit. But, and it wasn't just about what I could find for me. It was about how I could make happy happen for other people too.
Okay.
It was a give and take, a large part of my life.
Because we forget about that the patient is surrounded by people that are worrying as well, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So as I'm getting, okay, so I go all the way through all this treatment again. And with the colon cancer, I didn't lose my hair with the chemo. And that's something that a lot of people don't realize, is not all chemo makes you lose your hair.
Okay.
Or has all the same effects.
Okay, so it's individual.
Very individual. So with the breast cancer chemo I did,
Oh, boy.
and I have another CT done, and they go, well, there's this little bump on your lung. But
What?
we don't think that it's anything, because everybody has these bumps on their lungs. And after all the chemo that you've had, there's no way that there could be anything. So we're not going to worry about it. We're just going to wait and watch. One of the worst phrases I hate hearing anymore. I just despise it. So I go all the way through this. 10 months later, I'm getting ready
You're
to...
going to say the words. I can't believe you're going to say this now.
So I'm getting ready to make the exit out of the military. And I have this fantastic oncologist, and I wish I could have just picked him up and brought him with me. He goes, Angie, you've popped hot on the PET scan. And if that means to a cancer patient that there's a spot on a PET scan that's showing glucose uptake. So basically there's a spot that's being fed with sugar or glucose. And I looked at him and said, please let me go. Let me go. And
This is on your lung?
This is on my lung. So that's showing that it's either a new cancer or that it's metastasized from somewhere else. And he goes, you realize what you're asking me to do? I said, oh, absolutely I do. I said, just put on there, wait and watch. And I said, Doc, I said, I don't have a family out here. And I was living out in Washington. I said, let me go home. And it's a very hard thing to say, but I was going home to pass away because I knew what that meant.
Right.
And so that's how I ended up in Erie. He put on my charts, wait and watch.
All right.
I moved back to Erie in January of 2012. Actually, to Ripley.
Yes, we were just saying you were our neighbor who didn't even know it.
Exactly. That's how, the small circle, small world. So moved back in January. April 22nd, 3 days before my birthday, I found out that I had stage 4 colon cancer to my lung, which is bizarre because that little bump was an adenocarcinoma, and so was my breast cancer. So even though they were completely different chemos, they were designed to kill that same type of cancer, that same pathology. That little bump made it through 2 types of chemo. And
Stubborn,
very stubborn. So I ended up going through surgery for that, and long story short, I hit remission last November.
Awesome.
I finally hit my 5-year mark, and I'm like, got it all done and out of the way. So it leads me to where I'm at today.
Wow. I've been charting this on my paper, as you can see.
I see that. You're taking a ton of notes here. And I know this is all, it seems like all very sad kind of story. You're like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? But
I got to say something. For those of you that are listening on the radio right now, I'm sitting here looking at a vivacious, animated, healthy, smiling person who's just taking me through 4 different cancers, and
I'm smiling.
And you're smiling.
I am
so
beaming from ear to ear.
there's light at the end of the tunnel, maybe, for a lot of people. Keep going.
Because I had to set the stage with this because, oh my goodness, so 3 years ago, if you remember at the very beginning of all this, I said, there were 2 things I said when I was first diagnosed.
Yep.
I wasn't done yet.
Yep.
And I want to see grandchildren.
Yeah, I got it right here.
I have a beautiful 3-year-old granddaughter.
Do you?
I do.
Oh, wonderful.
I do, and she's a spitfire. I want to say she's like her mother, but she gets it somewhere. So that's happened, and so through all of this, some of the things that I have learned is that no, I'm not done yet. And that's something that I have learned to really go and encourage and teach and educate people. And I used to be horribly, painfully shy. I wanted to just fade into the paint. Like
you're not that.
No, and I get told this all the time. I really do. They're like, Angie, you walk into the room and it's like sunshine. I'm like, who are you looking at? I'm just me.
You talking about me?
I'm just me. But I see somebody that's kind of down or something. I'm like, oh, that person needs some help. Not help, like
perk them up.
I need to go over there and perk them up. Like, what's going on? They're missing something. So I have taken advice from other people because I'm not going to say I'm perfect in any way because we're all meant to keep growing. And I've learned to start taking more and more advice from everybody. And I'm like, okay, because if I'm trying to think how to put this. I'm always looking for ways to grow. So there was a pageant, and let me use this as a really good example. There was a pageant that some friends of mine had approached me with out in Seattle when I was going through breast cancer. And it was put on by a group of drag queens. So very vivacious and full of life. Entertaining.
I've seen
entertaining.
Pictures. Yeah.
And I was as bald as a baby, and no eyebrows, no eyelashes. So when your hair falls out, I mean, everything falls out. And moon-faced because they pump you full of steroids to keep up your energy. So you get something called being moon-faced. And I was like, I just want some fun. And why not?
So you're hanging out with drag queens.
So why not? Exactly, I was. And they just, so much laughter. So there was 3 of us that entered this pageant. And it was the very first time they put it on. And they named it Living Pink. And so I'm standing on the stage, and I'll fast forward through all of the little details of it. I'm standing on the stage, and the one girl's name's called off, and I'm like, well, that's not my name.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next girl's name's called off, so Christine and then Lynn. And then I'm going, oh, wait a second, I'm on the stage. And then like one really good friend in a school auditorium, she whispered, but her whisper is like a really loud voice. She goes, Angie just won. And I will never forget it. And then I'm standing there going, oh my gosh, what do I do? What do I do?
Uh-huh.
And so I asked Miss Vivian, I'm like, well, what do I do now? Because a pageant winner has to have a platform, right?
Yeah.
She goes, well, I don't know. We didn't think that far ahead. And I'm like, wow, the world is mine. So what I did is I took the name Living Pink, and I took the following year and then have now expounded. This was in 2011. I've taken this since 2011 and show people to embrace life to its fullest.
Wow.
You only have one life. Use it for the blessing that it is. And I went and did things I was either too afraid to do, never had the opportunity, or hadn't done in a long time. So I'm terrified of heights. I went trapezing with the crown and the sash.
Okay.
I've danced in waterfalls. I've drugged my poor family through all of this with me. I mean, just and documented the pictures all along for a year. And I still drag the crown out. Oh, just recently. So I'm very active in the gym. I went back to the gym. I was like, I have to keep building my health. Because if I'm not taking care of myself, what good is this? So I went back to the gym here about 2 years ago, and I was just weightlifting with my crown.
I saw a picture on Facebook. You're in a tutu or something.
I was. So I took the dress that I won that pageant in. I'm like, you know, I am a completely different woman than what I was when I won that pageant. And I'm stronger, I'm healthier, and I took this big Cinderella-like dress, chopped it off tutu length, and went and did a weightlifting competition because I am a completely different individual.
Okay, I had Don Ryan out on here, who was the world's strongest man a couple months ago, so he might be listening. So what do you press? Tell me, what do you weigh? We need to talk about this.
I'm not ashamed to say what I weigh, but I weigh 142 pounds and I deadlifted 300, which was my goal.
Wait a minute, that's on the floor and you gotta bring it up to your waist or something or other? Or
yes, all the way up to my
300
waist.
300 pounds?
Yes, that was my goal,
You
I did it.
You lifted me with no problem. Holy mackerel, Angie.
It is.
So you've been just building up to this as time goes by?
I have.
Okay, so what I'm going to ask, what got you into weightlifting? Why aren't you just like running or jumping or?
I run too, and which was never a passion of mine. I used to despise it. Mentally, it was the faster I ran, the faster I would get done, because the military is somebody else's time and regiment, and now it's on my time. I just ran a half marathon with friends of mine last weekend.
13.1 miles. Okay, I'll ask you, do you ride bike?
Not yet, but it'll be my goal.
Okay,
maybe
because
triathlon.
us guys here at the studio, we ride for Roswell. 2 years now in a row, we've all ridden together.
I'd be interested in getting some information.
All right, well, maybe you can ride with us next year.
Because why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
We have a great time, and we did 30 miles, and then last year we did 44.
Okay.
So, yeah, well, we ride bike.
My knee surgeon would probably be a lot happier with me if I did that.
Did you say knee surgeon?
Yes, I just had knee surgery in July. So.
Well, if you keep lifting 300 pounds, you might be putting a little pressure on that knee.
He's not happy with me right now.
Okay, so
we kind of covered a lot of area there.
I told you I wanted you to tell your story because it's profound. It really is profound.
So I'm trying to think, okay, where did I leave off?
Well, let's talk about Linked by Pink.
So Linked by Pink.
So you are Living Pink. That's your
Living Pink.
That's your name. Is that your name? That's your stage name? Living Pink?
Living Pink.
Or is that just sort of like
Living Pink, yes.
That's your motto or whatever. Miss Living Pink?
Miss Living Pink
Okay,
2011.
okay, there you are.
I was number 1.
I gotta see it. You have a picture on Facebook? I got to look that one up.
I do actually. I think I do. So I did that in 2011, and that's been kind of my motto, my mantra, is to live life to its fullest and embrace every moment.
Okay.
And so I come back to Erie, and I still have, like I said, I break that little crown out every now and then, and just to keep pushing myself.
Okay.
So I get back into Erie, and then I have a couple of friends that are telling me about this resource group, and I've tried to do a couple of support groups, and I'm like, oh, they really don't have the right feel for me. But my friends are like, well, this is different. It's a breast cancer group for women who have been traditionally diagnosed under the age of 45. And I was like, well, I definitely qualify. So I go, and I'm instantly in love with these women. They're young mothers, different walks of life, but honest, and they hold back nothing, but at the same time, they're just instantly bonded and there for each other. And it's not just women diagnosed under the age of 45. They don't turn anybody away. What I love about their group is that it's all volunteer-based, and they help the community as much as the community helps them back. So it's all donation-based, so anything, any of the money that comes in is donation-based. Let me see, what else do I love about this? They give out 3 scholarships to high school students in the area.
Really?
They do.
Is there a specific area that they support for the scholarships?
It's within a 45-mile radius of Erie.
All right.
And out to Westfield is covered.
Awesome.
So we do, we
Into
do
Western
come
New
out
York?
and
Or
we do.
Chautauqua County?
So it's just, oh my goodness, the things that we do.
Okay, well, I understand support group to a degree, okay? So you tell your story, you listen to each other, you lean on each other, you can call each other. I'm assuming that's sort of it. So who can, that's not, can anybody join this? Is it a formal group, or is it informal, or?
No, it's informal.
Okay.
It's the first Wednesday of the month.
And where do you meet?
We meet at NovaCare. It's right on Route 97 in Erie. It's like it's the State Street exit off of I-90.
As you're heading towards the VA.
It is. So it's very informal. Oh my goodness. And then we'll have, every now and then we'll do a very casual get together, usually at a restaurant or something every quarter.
What time do you meet?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
I want to say 7.
Okay, and so people from anywhere in Chautauqua County can join as well? Is there any other group like this? I've never heard of a group like this before.
The RCC, so the Regional Cancer Center in Erie, used to have one, but they're doing a lot of changes. So no, not so much. Oh, I apologize. No, it's 6.
6 o'clock. All right.
Let me back
6
that up a
p.m.
little bit. I had another event confused with that.
So Link by Pink, is this something you started or you joined? You said, I think you joined, right?
I joined.
So what's the history on that? Has it been around for a while?
It has. It was started by 2 ladies, Norma and Heather. So Norma Zimmer and Heather Stemka. They were 2 young moms who had tried to go to kind of the same scenario, go to another support group, and they found that they weren't able to get the support back because they were 2 young moms, and it was traditionally much older women, and their situations just didn't apply. They weren't able to get the help that they needed. So they started the group themselves, and this is actually the 10th year for the group.
10th year. You know, I'm happy to talk about Link by Pink here on the show because I've talked to a number of people that haven't heard about it, and in the show from last week, I was talking with Valerie Jackson, and I asked her a true or false question, and the question, excuse me, is that women's health is, what's the word I want to say, underserved. And she said, true. And so This is why I do this show. This is why I talk with people like you that have these stories in these agencies and groups and support groups, is because people need to know that, because it's underserved in our region.
I agree.
So 10 years it's been going on. Wow. Okay. Is there a phone number that people can call for more information, or a website, or how's that work?
There is the website. It's the best way to contact them and get a hold of them, and it's linkbypink.org.
All one word, Linked by Pink?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. And the reason why I ask these questions is because somebody might be watching the show and later on say, what was that? And then they can watch the show again and listen to you say those very words. So forever and ever.
And we also have a Facebook page too.
Mm-hmm.
So
Linked by Pink, just search for that. Okay.
And the other unique aspect of Linked by Pink is that we also have a men's secret group.
Men's secret group.
And
okay.
we call it the secret group because we try to get in there like, okay, what are they talking about? What are they doing? What are they doing? And so we kind of joke with them a little bit, but it's to provide the men the support that they need also.
Yeah, I alluded to it earlier about the people in our lives that are the caregivers,
Mm-hmm.
and I've seen this time and time again. For whatever it is, and you can argue back on me, but in society, men are supposed to be these non-emotional, non-reactive people that are supposed to be those, the tough guys and all this stuff, and we're not. We're the ones that will actually blow up, or they end up drinking, or going to some way to get that pressure out. We guys need to talk about these things too, even if it's not us, it's our spouse or sister or mother or daughter or whatever, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So when do they meet at the same time?
No, they meet at other times, and then it's an internal group also, so they can reach out to each other and talk whenever they feel the need. If they want to meet for coffee or a lunch, if they want to have some one-on-one with somebody in the group, or just together, they can arrange that themselves.
Now, so if someone's listening or watching right now, and they were interested in this men's secret group, how would they get in contact with anyone?
It's
Through Linked by Pink as well?
Yes.
Okay. What? Okay. Emerald
So,
is
yes.
she's over there, crazy lady. All right, so they would contact Linked by Pink for that men's group.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, so this is good information. I mean, I'm filling up this page here with information. It's like incredible. Okay. So what events do you have coming up now with Linked by Pink?
Oh my goodness.
I mean, it's the holidays, and usually there's a lot of stuff going on.
The next big one we have is going to be in February,
Okay.
which is actually our biggest one, and we enjoy this. It's a bowling tournament. So I believe we're going to start sending out or putting out the information for the registrations. But it's a huge bowling tournament. We used to have just one time slot that we did. Oh my gosh, is it the second? I think it's the second Saturday in February. We just started discussing this during the board meeting. So I'm also not just a member at Linked by Pink, I'm a board member.
Oh.
So
You're once a leader, always a leader.
I can't let it go. I can't let it go.
I know the feeling.
I love to help people grow, and it's kind of like watching them grow, and then you send them on their way, and I love doing it.
So when this is coming up and you have a poster or whatever, you be sure to send it to me.
Absolutely.
And we'll pop it right up here just like we do the other ones.
All right.
Not everybody is well healed in this world that's dealing with cancer and things like this. Are there certain things that your group is looking for, other than money, the usual? But I mean, sometimes wigs or prosthesis and things like this. Are there things that out there, or I know a lot of it's custom made, things like this, but is there anything that the community can help support?
I can't remember her name, but it's she's actually the reason why I came and spoke to the Rotary.
Right.
She donates prayer shawls. So what we do also is we hand out gift bags for the newly diagnosed. So there are these little just feel-good items that we put in these gift bags. Those are always welcomed. So like the prayer shawls, or just something like little socks, or maybe a little easy listening CD, gift certificates,
A good book.
good book,
Yeah.
anything like that. Just,
Chocolate.
Oh, yeah, we never pass up chocolate.
That's a given.
Exactly. So just,
Yeah.
just little things, a small note, a card,
Mm-hmm.
something, thinking of you, little things like that.
Okay.
And-
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I have 3 arrows on my page
Okay.
here that it says come back to. So when we first met, I didn't know that there was a DR in front of your name like mine, and
Okay.
so I want to talk about that. So
All right.
you've given us your life story. You've told us all of these cool things, but you're a doctor of what?
It's a doctor of naturopathy.
Okay.
And that's another one my kids kind of are like, oh, Mom, are you the witch doctor? And so, playing into that whole sense of humor that I have,
Yeah.
I roll with
So
it.
you have bat wings and
It's
roots and things like that.
Something, yeah.
No.
Something like that. But so a doctor of naturopathy. So it's alternative and holistic care,
Mhm.
and it drives my colleagues crazy because I'm not 100% Chinese medicine
Mhm.
or holistic, because I believe that there is a balance between Western medicine
Right.
and holistic, because I wouldn't be here without it. So what I do is it's like, so it's life coaching that I do is I help people take responsibility for their lives in the most natural ways possible and let them choose what is best for them as an individual. So if it's, if they want to do more digestive health
Okay.
and choose a better diet, that's what I help do. I help walk them through the steps, become more comfortable with their own choices. Other things, there's herbology, there's
Okay.
reflexology,
Mhm.
massage, acupuncture. I don't do acupuncture, but it's helping people find the right channels.
Okay.
It's education. So basically, I'm an educator.
So, could you give us, like, without mentioning names, a case study that you've been working with and what you did with this individual, more specifically?
What's a good one I've been doing? I've been having a lot of men's health,
Okay.
men's hormonal issues,
Mhm.
which is another one that's actually very
Underreported,
understudied,
understudied, yeah.
It's an andropause, so low testosterone.
Mhm.
So working through low testosterone issues
Okay.
and doing it in a more natural way.
Mhm.
So different teas, mushrooms, different types of ways like that. Better food, more water, sleep. People don't get enough sleep. Can help boost different hormones, and the same thing for women. Sleep, good food, good water, and move. 4 basics, and it's just finding the right balance as an individual. So,
Okay.
did that kind of answer?
It does, yeah. Because, people watching, they're
So-
going, well, I always ask the questions I think people are thinking about on the show here.
Yeah.
I know it seems hard to believe, but we're down to less than a minute.
Oh boy.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
oh boy. So, Angie, I'm going to be quiet for a little bit. And what would you like people to know that your message today? What's your message?
I usually close anytime that I do a talk, or I'm like, which one do I look at? See, this is my
Right-
goofy.
right over there? That
See,
one.
and this is my goofy little sense of humor. You see this?
Right
Which one?
there, right
Camera
there.
one, camera
Camera
two. So I usually close any type of a talk that I do with one simple quote, and it's from a movie called Anti-Mame. And life is but a banquet, and most poor souls are starving. So grab life by the reins and just ride it out. Make your own choices and be responsible for yourself, and be comfortable with the choices that you're making. So that's what I have to
and
leave
be a
it with.
self-advocate. It sounds like I heard that a
Absolutely.
lot through your message.
And don't forget to laugh.
Oh gosh! All right, Dr. Angie Janosky, you've been my guest today, and it's been a pleasure and an honor to meet you and talk further. And thank you for your service, and thanks for sharing your message. I hope that people that have been listening and watching today will be emboldened to take more control of their lives, especially when they're hit with some really tough news. So thank you, and I wish you the best. And please keep in touch with me and with your different events.
All right, and thank you for the opportunity. I've enjoyed this.
Okay, so I'm going to wrap things up now, folks. So I want to thank you all for watching Chautauqua Sunrise. I'm Doc Hamels, and we're going to do this again every Saturday morning right here on Access Chautauqua. So have a pleasant weekend, and I will be talking to you live at the end of November, December. I'll be in December. So I'll see you then. You take care, and bye now.